you getting that on tape?
I wasn't recording yet, but I'm going to record now.
No.
I didn't know we started.
Okay.
Robert, get over here.
He's working.
Robert, get him over here.
Get him over here.
Get him over here. Now, can you get everybody? Should I?
I just need to get Professor Kim Pointner in the shot.
Here we go.
I've learned how to come out of my shell.
There we go. Can you get us all?
Yeah, I got all of you. What a beautiful picture.
Here we are in the English department,
The rose between the thorns.
What?
The rose between.
where I've spent most of my time at Malloy for 4 years. I have to say, it's one of the most homey, inviting departments in the entire college, and I'm not biased at all.
Good.
But, why do you think it's important to be an English major?
We're looking at you, Robert.
Everyone turns off.
You're the chair of the English
The
department.
chairman of the English department.
Because you learn how to write, you learn how to read, you learn how to think, you learn how to speak. And these are the skills that are in greatest demand out in the world today, where so much of work is involved in manipulating words. We show you how to do that.
We also learn how to read. Did you say that?
We said that.
You did, okay.
And I think you get a window into the way other people see the world, and that is hugely important. And we're in a very diverse world, and you learn how other people perceive it, and that is a good thing to be able to do. So,
You grow.
Right.
you do.
Through literature, one can open up the whole universe. Different ideas, experiences, reactions. Sometimes they might not be what you would like, but yet they are there because all of these things are part of the human experiment.
What are some of the authors that you consider the great and why?
Barbara Novak. I majored in medieval literature, and so I would definitely point to Chaucer, who opened up the whole world of medieval life to me. There is no one author that I'm overwhelmingly fond of, that I devoted my life to, but particular works have really touched me, so there were so many of them. I don't even know where to start, but that's about it.
And I'd throw in a couple of women. Jane Austen and Charlotte Bronte. Emily Dickinson.
Virginia
Woolf. Right.
Virginia
Well,
Woolf.
you're a modernist, so Virginia Woolf, right. And I have a feeling that the person to my right likes James Joyce, right?
And William Faulkner.
And William Faulkner, right.
Right. Seminal.
Right.
When I read Finnegan's Wake, it changed my attitude toward literature. And I had a traditional classical background in literature. Milton and Spencer and Wordsworth and Shakespeare and several semesters on these people. And Joyce liberated literature, I thought, for me, beyond what was expected, that I thought could ever happen. And from now on, I read all literature through the lens of James Joyce or Finnegan's Wake.
And everything he does is done through James Joyce. And I'll tell you, I can recall times in college when I first was introduced to some of these writers. I remember one time we were given the assignment to read the complete Don Quixote over Christmas vacation. That was 900 pages, and I did it. And I don't put this on tape, but I cried at the end. I didn't want to leave him. I was so touched by his life. I was so touched by his life.
Right.
Also, when I was first introduced to the Divine Comedy, I was overwhelmed by the whole thing and by the experience of the people given in that particular work, and also the joy of the last line, the love that moves the sun and the stars, the power of God's love everywhere. Things like that, individual works that really have touched my life. That's kind of thing I've been touched with.
I guess I would say when you read Jane Austen, you get great conversations, because that's one of her strengths, is those that she moves the story along through dialogue, and she has such a light touch with her narrative. The narration is there, but it never intrudes, it never slows you down, it sort of adds to things, but you almost don't notice that it's done so deftly.
And you know, when I read Pride and Prejudice, I learned how to make a proposal.
That's right.
But there are a lot of great writers.
There are.
I may
They are.
like Faulkner or Joyce or Dante or Milton or whoever the person might be. But yet literature is literature. It's very difficult to define literature. Northrop Frye, I believe, said that literature is not the object of a study. It is the subject. So it's something that we always have to immerse ourselves in and allow the literature to speak to us without superimposing upon that literature preconceived ideas of what this genre should be doing or that genre. And then you see literature almost in the Aristotelian sense, if I use Aristotle, in terms of an organic whole. And I think that's what Aristotle probably meant when he talked about poetics, literature, not poetry per se, or the stanza. Literature speaks to us.
And it's great when you're teaching to see students responding and hear what they see in the literature and what kinds of insights it opens up to them. So I think that's the joy of teaching.
What is that Indian prayer? May I never criticize a man till I've walked 1 mile in his moccasins. When I teach the short story course, I always refer to that you're going to step into the skin, into the lives of so many other people. And one of the joys I have of teaching is to share some of the works that I have been deeply touched by. For example, Truman Capote's A Christmas Memory, which is just an astonishing little recollection of his youth. I want to share this with students, and even in the summer course, I would give this Christmas Memory as one of the final works of the course, and I just want them to be touched the way I was touched by it.
The French Minister of Culture, I think, André Malraux, said it well when he said that literature is the real homeland for the image of man. Now, he wrote that years ago, so we can say the human image.
I thought that was
If we wanna
Soupy
be-
Sales.
It could be that. But the gender bias, the image of man, so don't get me on that, the feminist stuff. But that's what
All
he
women
said.
and men.
But it could be that literature is the homeland, the real homeland for who we are, I think. And we can't always agree, and we don't. Look at the world around us. Is there agreement? Is there much rationality? There really isn't. Strife, wars, and literature has it all too. War and peace, what a contradiction.
This is the longest 2 minutes I ever used.
I could edit it.
What else do you have,
Okay.
young lady?
Have you seen a change in English students throughout the years, or has it been pretty consistent?
How many years are you talking about?
It could vary.
The span of teaching.
Yeah, the span teaching.
Somehow we get older and they get younger. I don't know.
Well, aside from, I think that I kind of feel sorry about the students today because I don't think they have the background that we had to appreciate much of what they're receiving, and so a lot of it I think gets lost on them. They don't know enough about geography and history and just culture. Their world begins in 2000 or 1990 or something like that, and it's kind of unfortunate. So I feel sorry for them, frankly.
Literature expands that culture.
It does, but we cannot, I think, in just a few years, make up for much that they haven't received yet. Have not received through high school and grammar school. To me, it's kind of sad. One thing, for example, I showed a class the movie The Red Balloon one time, and I was deeply touched by that movie. students, I asked their reaction, were you touched by this? They thought it was foolish, they thought it was silly. And I said, but you have no sense of the magic involved in here? They didn't. I think that's kind of a cultural loss.
Couldn't have been English manuals.
Would you say English improves your sensitivity towards humor?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'd like to respond also to that question. I find that today, the English major doesn't seem, in general, to have much patience with longer books, with the novel in particular, where they don't necessarily spend the kind of time that they need to spend.
Keyword time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I think they're being pulled away from spending that time. It's not really,
Too many interruptions.
it's not the students' fault in some
No,
ways.
I'm not
It's
blaming
the
them.
world.
Yes,
The
we'll
world
change.
is
This is
right. The world is pushing
There's
them
no judgment in
in
that.
so many directions. You know, you're being asked to respond immediately to a text you get or an email you get, or you know, years ago, students didn't have that kind of pressure on them to be kind of in the moment all the time, and I think that does pull students away. It's almost, I have told the freshmen that I think what they have to do is hang up and get connected, you know, because you can't really immerse yourself in what you're doing in school if you are always connected to that outside world every moment. So although it brings some great things in, it's much easier to do research, to access information, it also can sometimes be a distraction that does lead to students not having the time or feeling that they have the time to immerse themselves in something longer.
Quiet.
You also get
Quiet.
connected to yourself.
Right.
Yeah, oh, yes. Yes.
That's what I think Andre Moreau was talking about, where we can find out who we are. Goes on to say that we have been flung at random among the galaxy of stars or whatever. But in that prison, more or less, we are free to define who we are, to deny our nothingness, he says. I think that's true. I think literature helps us deny our nothingness. Faulkner's Nobel Prize speech more or less said something very similar toward the end, when he said, in the end, we will have man's puny little voice still speaking. At the end, the apocalyptic end, our voice will still be speaking. That's the spirit of the poet, the writer. Anything else?
Alice Munro was talking about capturing, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
right.
doing on Friday at Garden City, but Alice Munro is talking about capturing everything everlastingly. You know, she talks about her childhood, and she has a character who is actually growing up in the same kind of town trying to become a writer, and that character is talking about trying to keep things, trying to capture them in words so that they won't go away. You know, it's kind of like a hedge against the temporality of life, you know, that things don't last. So, but if you capture them in words, they do. So that's perhaps one way of looking at it.
But even that's changing now with digital communications, where even the words can be changed. Everything's online now.
Got to do a
Nothing
PDF.
is permanent. Nothing is permanent.
Right.
Well, I think that could be good, though.
No,
I think, no, words are constantly changing.
That said, do you prefer the actual book to like an e-book or something that you can find online?
So far I do, and I'll tell you for practical reasons. We taught the Faulkner course, Light in August, I think it was, and a student had the e-book, and we got to a passage where the student didn't understand the transition because in the printed text, the transition had italics, which showed that someone else was speaking. So unless the e-book is really faithful to what the author has in mind, then I would say fine.
I guess I'm changing my opinion. I do like books myself. I like to read books. I like students to have books. It's certainly easier to find the right page that we're all looking at together. But I have been in classes where students have an e-text, and they Exactly. So by the time I'm saying, well, anybody know what that means? Somebody has already looked it up. So that's an advantage to the new way.
I have the only typewriter on campus, so you know where I stand. I think books smell better, too.
I love to.
Do you have any advice for future students who might want to
Pursue English.
Yeah, I think that if I were starting college now, I would do English and I would do a minor in something that had to do with digital communications. Maybe I would look at business or marketing, but I would minor in something else plus the English, because I think that if you have the communication skills and the critical thinking plus that practical application, I think you can't beat it.
I would say yes. I would go for it.
I would
This is
definitely
where
go
you're going
for
to
it.
find out who you are
Right.
in this respect. Whether you can do anything about it is a different question. You'll be able to find it out. You have a lot of fun with characters. Faulkner one time said that he got to the point where he could make a character where people stand on their hind legs. He'd do what he would want with them, and he did.
There was a Twilight Zone episode like that, too.
Anything else?
Well, I forgot where you were for a minute. As you can see, this is why we love the English department, because we have such warm professors willing to help us with our projects. And thank you for your time.
Do we get paid?
Happy birthday, Ashley. Right.
Thanks, Tricia. Thanks,
Happy
guys.
birthday. Shakespeare.
Yes.
Died today.
No, he was
Born today, too.
Born today.
He was born and died on the same
Here's
day.
a quiz for you. Shakespeare and Cervantes died on the same day, a week apart. Why?
Because the Gregorian calendar changed. On that note for Christine's project, I'd like to add to what Professor Fargnoli said, that in the English department you really find yourself. And today on my 23rd birthday, I could say that that's very true, that in the 2 years that I've been at Malloy as a transfer student, I have really grown and learned so much just from studying literature and seeing how the world has changed through literature. It's just, you get to see so many different cultures and belief systems. You learn so much about what the world has been and is going to from literature. So I'm so happy I studied English for that reason. Christine, why are you happy you studied English?
I've also grown from the students' cake sales.
Today you have to celebrate 2323.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Champagne
person.
I'd go out and get a lotto ticket with those combinations.
It was 1923.
Christine, you
Well,
want to add
as an
anything?
English major, it makes you more articulate, as you can see by your very nice response. And it heightens your sensitivity to people and to things, and just opens up your mind to a whole new creative kind of world that other majors wouldn't necessarily see or deem as important, but it is very important. It makes you a culturally well-rounded and just better individual.
Christine, for your B-roll footage, do you want to just go around the English department taking like photos of all the books and stuff?
Why not?
Do you need to, can you stop this?
Yeah, you can stop it.
Okay.